A heart for nature, spending time outdoors, and embracing it as a way of life. This is what Norwegians call friluftsliv. Norway offers some of the most dramatic landscapes you'll ever see, from towering waterfalls around every corner, deep-cut fjords that seem to have no end, and mountain peaks as far as the eye can see. Join us on this breathtaking 2-week adventure through the amazing country of Norway. So, why Norway? Oh, I don't know. Between the waterfalls, the fjords, the fresh fish. Did I mention waterfalls? It just seemed like a good idea. The trip began with an 8-hour flight to Reykjavik, Iceland, a relatively short flight when it comes to international travel.
All right, we're here. We're ready to go. See right back there, Iceland Air. Oh yeah, she moved. We're going to Norway.
All right, this is how you travel. 2 pillows. Not overkill when traveling internationally.
We stepped off the flight, groggy, but the air hung heavy with the scent of croissants, and like a hound dog, we sought them out. And they were delicious. With our bellies full of flour and butter, we made our way to the final plane that would take us to Norway. It was a cold, drizzly wait on the tarmac, despite the fact that it was summer. Our itinerary ahead of us was jam-packed. First stop was Oslo, where we intended to see the city while recovering from anticipated jet lag. As the plane took off, our thoughts simmered with excitement as we anticipated our adventure ahead of us. Our research indicated that it would likely be rainy for much of the trip and that we would have all the fish and waffles we could eat. We also found that Norwegian words are hard. Fair warning, there will be a lot of mispronunciations in this video. You've been warned. After some much-needed shut-eye, our first views of Norway were breathtaking, and we couldn't wait for our first deep breath of Norwegian air. But first, baggage claim. After a short ride in the efficient rail system, we arrived at our first hotel. In the midst of our sleepy stupor, we were surprised to see a cruise ship in the otherwise casual pier. Little did we know just how many cruise ships we would encounter on this adventure. Oslo was a beautiful city, an amalgam of old and new.
Norway. Opera House. We're in Oslo. Whew. Still a little jet lagged, but not bad. Was hoping to be less jet lagged than we are. My wife's behind the camera. Anyway, so we left Denver and we got on our flight and tried to fall asleep like right away. And adventure finds you, things just happen. And unfortunately, this lady had taken something, lots of alcohol, some drugs, and was kind of overdosing right behind us. And we were nervous for her and all that, praying for her, but she ended up being fine, but she was making all sorts of noise and she was in bad shape. And ooh, look at that, sun's coming out. Love it. Anyway, so didn't get to sleep as much on the plane as we wanted, but had a quick transfer in Iceland, got to fly into Iceland, just beautiful. And then straight over here into Oslo and got on the speed train down into the city. And yeah, we're just stoked to be here. We're walking around this morning. We got some coffee at this cafe and ready for a trip.
The architecture seemed to blend classic European styles with modern city flair. We were told that Norway will be rainy, regardless of when you go. It will rain. So far, we had seen no rain. As inspiring as the city was, we were excited to jump on another train and embark on an 8-hour journey across the entire country. The tracks would lead us to Bergen. As we left Oslo, there was not much congestion of traffic, buildings, or people. And it didn't take long before our eyes were refreshed with the sight of crisp bodies of water, winding rivers, quaint neighborhoods, and forests that blanketed the mountains. Small towns sprawled at the base of mountains, and we were caught up in imagining what it would be like to live in these remote places. Tunnels were in no short supply, and traveling through them created great anticipation for what our eyes would see once the darkness broke. Everywhere we looked, there was water. Winding water, still water, flowing water. Some of the lakes even acted as a mirror for the proud mountains that towered above them. It was my first train ride, and it will be hard to beat. As time pressed on, the views became more dramatic, and we sensed Norway calling our name. We were told that Bergen was a country in and of itself. It felt good to be off the train and in Bergen, and although we have no prior experience in Europe, it felt wonderfully European. Historical buildings and rooftops, rich colors, cobblestone streets, bakeries. Yes, it felt as though we could finally say we've been to Europe. We were antsy to get hiking, and the very next day we laced up our boots and set off to see the city of Bergen from a higher perspective. There was a gondola that gave us a leg up for the first part of the hike, which was helpful given we were still a bit jet-lagged. The views from the top were simply stunning, but perhaps one of the most noteworthy experiences was the sounds, or the lack thereof. It was quiet, and for the first time on our trip, our minds began to settle into a meditation that was maintained throughout the rest of our time. The people of Norway are also relatively quiet. It is a country that feels reserved and dignified, with nothing to prove. It is simply a joy to be in this place. Bergen was described to us as a fishing village. We would not describe it as such. Bergen was a sophisticated city filled with shopping, fine dining, and yes, more cruise ships. We have never experienced switchbacks like we did on those European roads. They were quite narrow and required a diligent lookout for pedestrians.
Turn right onto Romsdalseggen, then turn right onto Scenic.
Parking garages were a bit challenging as well, and it took some creativity to get in and out of the car in these tight spaces.
This is what you have to do when you have to park so close to everything.
All right, so we just left Bergen. Bergen was awesome. Great food. Did a hike up, I forget what it's called. Balestrand. I'm saying that wrong for sure. Anyway, it was awesome. Really pretty up there. And we're on our way to Balestrand, and we've left the city, and it already feels much different. A little more open, and yeah, excited to see what's next.
Filled with a sense of stillness and espresso, we set off towards Balestrand. There were two common elements of our drives: bridges and tunnels. Norway has around 5,800 bridges and over 1,200 tunnels. Overland and underland we traveled. The music filling our car sang out true. I'm dreaming of the road again, set free in the wind. Feels like we've found home again on the road that's grown within. Shout out to Hollow Coves for the perfect soundtrack of Norway. The clouds often clung to the peaks of mountains, something to do with the humidity and temperature conversions, I'm sure, but it felt a bit like magic. We were nervous for our first ferry crossing. We were not sure what this would require. Turns out, it was quite simple.
He'll start.
And once our car was parked, we got to enjoy the views from the deck. The journey is part of the adventure, and sometimes it does not go as planned. Let's put it this way: narrow roads, plus oncoming semi, plus wife who just learned how to drive a manual car, equals a close encounter with a guardrail. Or rather, an encounter with a guardrail. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. As we pressed further into Norway's fjords, the colors became more and more vibrant, and it felt like we were meandering our way through a painting. The roads widened as we got into Balestrand. The elevators did not.
This is the tiniest elevator I've ever seen in my life. That's how close I am to Adam. Oh my gosh. 6 personer.
It's definitely from the early experience.
Oh.
It opened. Open the door.
Oh,
Click
yeah.
on it.
Oh, we made it. Okay, let me take a video. There we are. There's a little guy. Oh. Okay. Now we'll shut it. Send it on its way. That was kind of intense. Okay, bye-bye.
So we made it into Balestrand and had a
pretty good drive in, beautiful views, only hit one guardrail. And had a very expensive lunch, but it was delicious. And we checked into our hotel, which is nice and quaint and has a very beautiful view.
There are apple orchards everywhere in Balestrand, and this region is known for the cider. If the cider doesn't entice you, Fjord will. Balestrand is nestled on one of the shores of this fjord, and it is the longest and deepest in Norway. Our afternoon was spent exploring the fjord from the water. As the day came to a close, we were ready to enjoy a hot shower before our inevitably costly dinner.
So drains in Norway are a bit different. There's the entire bathroom. You can see the lip of the shower. You know, the floor here just goes all the way through the bathroom. There's even a step to get into the bathroom, and I mean, it is flooding in here.
Balestrand was a place that you could picture settling into. It beckoned a slower pace and transported us to a simpler time. The ferry system in Norway was mind-blowing. This method of transportation that felt so alien to us is just another segment of everyday commuting for the locals.
All right, second ferry crossing. This is pretty cool. Yeah, it's a little weird at first, but you get used to it. And we're just heading in to Hella back here. And here's our car. The one right in front there. Yep, right there. That's weird. Anyway, I think we're about to get off, so see ya.
With 180 ferries that traverse 112 routes, it operated as a well-oiled machine.
Look, there's a glacier. Look, it's just there, a glacier. Oh, there she is, right there. The glacier.
The first glacier we saw on our trip was quite accessible and took us by surprise. It was the Bergen Glacier in Fjærland. One thing we've learned while traveling is to find the joy in the detours that come your way. Sometimes that is where you gain the most memorable experiences.
All right, so we stumbled across something pretty cool. This is a beautiful glacial lake, and you know, this is incredible. But just when you think, you know, it can't get better than this, it comes over here. And look at this.
The pace we choose for adventuring must allow us time to explore and indulge our curiosity. Our route from Balestrand to Gjella was marked by this unbridled spirit of exploration. Of course, it is easy to entertain a spirit of exploration in Norway. Every road seemed to hold a unique experience for us. This day, we found ourselves carving our way through a cloud that had engulfed the entire valley. We took our time to stop in Olden, where we enjoyed our first round of fish and chips of the trip. After washing down the fried goodness with a cold beer, we made our way to Loen, where we enjoyed one of the best hikes of the trip that ended on Staraniba Peak. It was during this hike that we truly began to embrace friluftsliv alongside the Norwegians. Witnessing the locals fully immerse themselves in the great outdoors and prioritize an outdoor lifestyle resonated deeply with us.
All right, well, we're in Loen and taking quite the hike. Look at this. That's inward Norway. We're going up that. But behind us, oh yeah.
Throughout the hike, we were serenaded by bells tied around the goats that grazed on the hills. It almost made us feel like we were somewhere in Tibet, although we've never been to Tibet yet.
Sometimes it hits you. Hiking a huge mountain in Norway. That's what dreams are made of. All right, so we made it to the peak of, I don't know how to say it, Storinipa? 1,379 feet above sea level. Nope, 1,379 meters above sea level. I don't know what that is in feet. Anyway, it's beautiful up here. It was an awesome hike.
One of the joys of travel is that you have no idea when you are going to find yourself in your most memorable destination. For us, that was Gjella.
It's just enough.
Gjella is not a common tourist stop. There is basically one hotel and one restaurant, which is in the hotel.
We fall apart.
What Gjella lacks in quantity, it more than makes up for in quality. This location was the most romantic, peaceful destination of our trip.
The sadness is the real thing, and I am overcome. Our heads are
Time seemed to move even more slowly in Gjella, leaving plenty of opportunities for long hikes.
as I open up my head.
Time wasn't the only thing that moved slowly.
Oh, this is chemical.
The owner of the hotel was generous with his knowledge and gave us tips on his favorite hiking trails.
So we found ourselves on this awesome little hike to a waterfall today, and the whole trail is just covered in wild raspberries. You can just pop right in, grab yourself some raspberries. Look at these buttes. Oh man, and just snack as you go. It's amazing. All right, so normally, you'd just be at work, doing our work thing. But lately we just find ourselves, hiking next to waterfalls and gorgeous blue rivers. Really nice out here. The air is probably the cleanest I have ever had. Sorry, gotta be careful here. It's really slippery everywhere. Anyway, it's just amazing.
Hopefully you can hear me okay. I have a loud waterfall behind me. I started out the day on a road where we had to move a bunch of goats off of in order to get through. Then proceeded to the wrong trail, which is so beautiful. Then found the right trail and ended up at probably the most beautiful waterfall we've ever sat at.
So it's interesting because of the vastness of these valleys. You kind of just hike in twilight all day. The sun can pretty much never get up and over these ridges. When there's a cutout in the mountains, that sun can get through. But it's 3:45 and it feels like 8 o'clock. Crazy.
Adventure calls, and we made our way through more tunnels to Europe's largest mainland glacier, Breathtaking. Our journey to the national park proved to us that no matter how many beautiful drives you take in Norway, they just don't get old. There is a mysterious quality that Norway encapsulates, something you can't quite put your finger on. Kind of like you're on the brink of discovering something spectacular at any given moment, and it keeps you waiting on bated breath for what the next corner will reveal. Each tunnel had a personality of its own. In this single-lane metal tube of a tunnel, we felt like we had entered a pipe that may or may not reveal an oncoming vehicle. It turns out Norway's crisp morning air is just as effective as a cup of coffee, and it energized us for the hike ahead. We were greeted by a peaceful lake nestled beneath the glacier and enjoyed some quiet time of reflection.
All right, so here we are at the Romsdalseggen Glacier. It's the largest glacier in Norway, and man, it's incredible. What a great spot to be in.
Romsdalseggen is an arm of the largest glacier in mainland Europe, and although it has been shrinking significantly in recent years, it was incredible to sit in its shadow. We enjoyed a quick lunch and reflected on our time in Gjella. It is amazing how quickly moments become memories. And with more memories to make, we headed towards our next destination, Geiranger.
All right, so we're just about to get onto to our ferry over to Geiranger. We're in Hellesilk right now. Kind of a cool, quiet little town, but yeah, our ship's just pulling in right now. Should be really fun. Looks like there's a nice viewing area up there, and we'll get to see a really cool fjord today.
Try as you might, but you can't hide from me. I know all the beauty that you keep.
The ferry took us through one of the most well-known and commonly traveled fjords in Norway, Geiranger Fjord. We quickly discovered why. It was stunning.
Through the narrows near Lake Elsevier, memories cover my eyes and adhere. Glimpses of you onto every passing mile. I see them in the sun, the earth, the sky. And I won't stop looking for you till I die. Somewhere heaven is on earth we'll meet. Lover, please, if anything, I beg you, send me something to help.
Waterfalls fell from the mountaintops around every corner and crashed into the refreshing water below.
Following the trail our souls took years ago. Little pieces of you strung on twine. I collect them just to show you how they shine. I know all
One of the most famous waterfalls, Seven Sisters, was running relatively lightly. I suppose that is the price you pay for having no rain in over a week. We won't complain. Geiranger seemed to take a step back in time. There was something that felt wonderfully aged and mature, echoing stories of a bygone era. Of course, the persistent presence of a cruise ship filtering in and out of port reminded us of what century we were in. Here's to you, cruise ship. We checked into a beautiful room and let ourselves aimlessly wander through the town. While we were out, we stumbled upon some fantastic news. The night before, there were displays of the Northern Lights, and we were overwhelmed by the thought that we may actually have the chance to see this elusive mystery.
Northern Lights, baby. Northern freaking Lights. Oh, praise God. Look at her. Look at her go.
The locals had not seen a display like this in over 16 years, and it was way too early in the season to expect any glimpse of them. Simply put, we were filled with awe and wonder. Our prayers swelled with gratitude that night. Everything about Geiranger was pristine. Everything, that is, apart from the smog brought about by the cruise ships polluting an otherwise perfect valley.
So we're on, I don't know how to say it. I think it's the Skegauska? I don't know. We're on the trail up to see the Geiranger Fjord. Kind of a view that I've been hunting for years. It's been like the desktop background on my computer for years, even before I knew it was Norway, and we're on our way to it, so really excited about that.
The sharp incline of our hike led us above the smog quickly, and the lush mountain air filled our lungs. After 2.5 miles that felt more like 20, we arrived at a long abandoned farm, and though it would have been tempting to set up camp and stay a while, we were on a mission to find that view, the one that had been staring at us from our desktop background for years. An unassuming, small, unmarked side trail opened up into the view we had been seeking.
Made it to the spot, and it's amazing. It's really interesting when you stare at an image that someone else took for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden you're there in person. It's really special getting to
that place that kind of drove your passion to get to that location. It's special. It was one of those moments that regardless of how long you sit in it, you will never be ready for it to end. So it must simply be abandoned. The way down took a toll on our knees. Turns out the descent seemed somehow sharper than the incline. But we were rewarded with the most delicious trout dinner we had ever enjoyed, and we slept well that night. At this point in the trip, our muscles were pleading with us for a more relaxed day, so we found an incredible drive up to the Geiranger Skywalk in Dalsnibba.
Seasons will turn, time creates distance.
At about a mile above sea level, the Skywalk is Europe's highest fjord view by road, leaving the town of Geiranger to appear as a speck on the horizon. We sat in a complete trance with only our cooling coffee to reference the passing of time.
That it's alright. Everything will be fine. It's okay. It's okay. Remember what's written in the skies. Remember young love inside our eyes. This is where we've grown.
This road up to the Geiranger Skywalk has been so fun.
Cover me with all your affection. Even on a dark night, tell me that it's all
A day in Norway would not feel complete without spending time around a waterfall, and we couldn't resist a short hike up to one as we made our way back down to town.
what's written in the skies.
One of the most distinct qualities of Norway was the air. It was a different kind of fresh and clean than anything we'd experienced before.
This is where we've grown. Young love inside our eyes.
The day itself was refreshing, and we were both satisfied with our time in Geiranger, yet reluctant to leave, knowing we were approaching the last leg of our trip. For overlanders, driving any world-renowned road is an opportunity that you simply cannot miss. That is how Trollstigen Road landed as one of the must-dos on our trip. It turns out, the inspiring team of Expedition Overland was on Trollstigen Road just weeks before us. She's a beast. We kept hoping we would run into them, knowing that they were in Norway the same time that we were. But it turns out they were always one step ahead. All right, so we are driving down Trollstigen Road. Trollstigen is land of the trolls, I believe. This road is crazy though. It's just like these tight switchbacks, narrow road, but just this huge canyon of waterfalls. Oh, we got our squeak back on our car. That's exciting. Anyway, really cool. A lot of times people don't tend to actually give you the space you need on this road, so that's also fun to do. But man, is the view. It's fun. The road descends rapidly, with signature switchbacks from the Norwegian mountains to the town of Embark that sits at sea level. Built in 1939, the road is used only in the summer months and becomes virtually impassable from November to May due to the severe winter weather in the region. We found a quick pull-off on our way down the road and climbed some suspicious-looking stairs to soak up the view of, you guessed it, another beautiful waterfall.
All right, hiking up Trollstigen. It's kind of a rowdy one.
With complete satisfaction, we checked off Trollstigen from our list and settled into a small town just outside of Åndalsnes for the last chapter of our stay. Just when we thought we had seen the best that Norway had to offer, we were startled by the beauty that met us at the Romsdalseggen Lodge. Our imaginations lured us into what it would be like to live there, and we had fun pretending.
Come. All right, I'm going to give you the tour since it's your first time here. We just moved in. Okay. You'll find the bathroom here. And then over this way, you'll find closet down to a troll dungeon where we also do laundry. And come. This is where I cook for you in my kitchen. I make tea for you. Yeah. And then I cook things like avocado, guacamoles. Look at how nice they were when we arrived at our new home. Such nice, thoughtful people. Okay. Our fridge. Here's our breakfast and our dinner. But wait for it. What I really cook for you. Fish sticks with parmesan and spinach. Okay. Now, Fika, this is our sitting area. Have you seen the view yet? It's not bad. It's not bad, I gotta say. But we don't know how to actually open the window all the way without breaking it. So we'll just leave it like that. We also have another room over here.
We spent the evening enjoying card games, music, fish sticks, and beer. It was perfect. The next day, our feet hit the Norway trails for the last time. Romsdalseggen Ridge has quite the reputation in Norway. It is a challenging, all-day, point-to-point hike that hugs a steep mountain ridge the entire time.
All right, so we are up on top of an amazing ridge. It's actually part of the Romsdalseggen Ridge. I'm probably not saying that right again. This language is really difficult. Very pretty though. Anyway, up here, and we cheated. We took we took the gondola up to this point, but now we're going to go do a section of the Romsdalseggen ridge hike. And right down here is actually where we're staying. I think it's just down into the valley there a little bit is the Romsdalseggen Lodge. And that place is awesome. We have an amazing view there. So this place is really cool. Kind of the end of the trip, kind of the finale here. So we're happy to end it with this.
We are not afraid of heights, but looking over the edge of the ridge would make even the surest stomach flip once or twice. Our weary feet were glad to end the hike as we closed out the evening. We also discovered how talented we are at slacklining. Kind of a bittersweet moment of the trip. You get everything packed up and ready to go home. Transfer your backpack into your luggage and your luggage into your backpack, and it just notes that the trip is over. So it's it's been fun. I can't say I'm excited to go home, but I'm not excited to go home either. It was a good time. Norway treated us well. Our last drive through Norway's winding roads was bittersweet. We reminisced on our favorite moments of the trip, enjoyed one last ferry ride, and caught final glimpses of, would you guess it, more waterfalls. Throughout our entire trip, we were filled with overwhelming gratitude for the incredible weather. Despite locals informing us that it had been one of the rainiest summers they had ever experienced, we never saw a single drop of rain. As Bilbo would say, under the hills and over the hills our paths led.
We are under a fjord. Yeah. Tunnel under water. Should go back to this. I don't even know what's happening right now. And we're gonna go under the airport.
Molde is known as the City of Roses, and rightfully so. Everywhere we looked, there were roses and flowers of many kinds lining the streets, buildings, and sidewalks. We can't say much more about Molde, as we only spent half a day there before catching a flight back to Oslo, where we would begin our journey back home. Traveling is an experience that offers so many exciting moments. But perhaps one of the most profound aspects is the inevitability of its conclusion. With the end of a journey comes newfound perspectives, unforgettable memories, and an abundance of stories to tell. As we embark on a trip, we are filled with wonder and curiosity. What will this place look like? What will the culture be like? What will we learn from this experience? As we set out towards home, these questions are now answered and stamped forever as memories. Our initial wonder is replaced with a sense of awe and delight, while we reflect just how incredible it was to visit Norway.